Good evening, everyone. You're listening to another episode of the Tall and Short of It podcast. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm your other host, Aaron. Welcome back, everyone. Good to see you, Justin.
Yeah, good to see you too, man. And good to see everyone listening. How are you feeling, dude?
Doing pretty well. Sorry for the delay for you and everyone out there. I wasn't able to record last night, so we're putting this out a day late, but not a dollar short. So we've got everything from this past week for you guys on the pod today. So
We've got the Austrian Grand Prix. We've got some of the NaLCS matches. We've got some Magic the Gathering matches. We've got, and everything in between. Aaron, why don't you start us off with your Rose, Thorn, and Seed from this week?
all right. So I'll start off with my Thorn because that I just want to get off my mind and out of the way. But it has been a hell of a week at work. I know I had said that I was going to a new property to help them out there, kind of be an interim staff member at their site while they were finding a new person and then helping get the new person trained up. And the position is like maintenance related, and with the heat wave that we've had up here in the east, well, actually kind of everywhere. I feel like Canada had some insane heat and all. We have had a lot of air conditioning issues, and our air conditioning repair person at the property decides that every year the middle of July is the best time to take a 2-week vacation. So it's been a bit of a shit show trying to keep everything together, keep residents happy. Like, they've been frustrating me with all their complaints, but I also understand that if my AC was having issues in my apartment, probably wouldn't be too much of a happy camper either.
Right.
But there are some people that are just like the temperature in their apartment's like 74, 75 degrees, which isn't bad at all.
No, it's not.
Like, that's pretty comfortable, especially when you come in from it being like 95 outside and you come inside.
That feels like it's breezy, yeah.
Yeah, like that feels good. And there are some people who are just not as accepting of that that like level of
Right.
of temperature, because normally their AC units are going to get it down to like 70 or like whatever they're looking for, but when it's 95 to 100 degrees out, that's just not really feasible.
Well, and I imagine the AC units are like older. Some of them are probably, maybe this year they need to be replaced, or next year they should be replaced, or whatever it is. So yeah, I can definitely understand the frustration. But what the fuck? I mean, I understand, summer's the time for vacations or whatever the hell, but at a certain point, like,
This man does it every year. I have an outside contractor that I've been using as my like AC guy for the past week.
right.
And this man, like, he is my hero right now. Shout out to Doug, because Doug has been my hero.
Shout out Doug.
He has legitimately like saved me so much stress, because like, just for instance, yesterday, the dude, he installed a new AC unit for an apartment that really like needed it, which took him from about like 8:30 in the morning till about 3 in the afternoon, which he had a guy helping him for. So it's like a long all day kind of thing. And he stayed working and taking other AC calls and fixing stuff for other people until 9:30 last night. So this man worked like 13 and a half to 14 hours yesterday fixing AC units for me. And like, I'm very grateful. And then the guy who took vacation always shit talks Doug. So it's like, I don't know. Doug's on my good side, not the other guy right now.
Yeah, it sounds like Doug's the guy that you want around.
He's more expensive, but he's done the job, so
Yeah.
and it's not my money, so
I was going to say, yeah, it's not your money.
but yeah, so that's been my thorn. It's just been
All right. AC issues.
AC issues, and then just trying to handle everything else, training, all that good stuff. So work's been a lot.
Sure.
My rose, I think, has been that I have gotten to spend a bit more time with the girl I'm seeing.
Colleen.
Yes. It's just been really solid, and it's a nice change of pace, getting to do stuff. We've explored the city a bit more for myself, since I haven't gotten to do I got to do some stuff around Philly when I first moved up here, but then the pandemic hit, so I didn't get to explore as much as I would have enjoyed.
Did you take her on the the sugar walk?
The sugar
You know what I'm
walk.
talking about? Where it's like down this alleyway, and there's, I believe it's like a bakery or something that has their like loading dock or whatever, like right in the alleyway. So depending on the night and the evening, if you catch them loading or it's usually offloading the truck of their like bags of flour and sugar, it's like all like in the air,
sparkly and like
yeah.
interesting. No, I haven't heard that. I'm kind of curious about it now.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know exactly where it is. That's a scene from Gone Girl, by the way.
Gotcha.
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that's a scene from Gone Girl. I think it's in Philly, or it's wherever that movie takes place. I don't know. It was a bad joke. I was hoping you recognized the scene.
No, I'm hoping that that's a real thing though, because that sounds kind of dope.
It is somewhere, yeah. And it's part of like one of the like main little things in the film. But yeah, it's like an interesting little thing, and it's like a really romantic moment. That's all I was getting at.
Nice. Well,
nice.
Nothing wrong with a good romance if you stumble upon the sugar walk in Philadelphia.
What I'm getting at is, was there any romance?
Oh, definitely some romance. Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's what we love, dude. I love a romance.
Oh yeah, it's been it was cool. Like it's nice getting to know each other a bit more and just get to try
Snog,
new things. Yes.
as the Brits say.
Yeah, snog. Exactly.
Hell yeah, dude.
So that's my rose. It's been very nice. My seed, I think, is that, on a kind of work note again, I've started, I forget if I mentioned this on a past episode, but I started doing a bit of looking at trying to figure out what I would want to do in the future. Tomorrow is so I guess when this releases, it will be my 2-year work anniversary. Woo!
Hell yeah, dude.
And I just think I want to get an idea of where I'm going with it next. So I think that's my seed that I'm looking forward to kind of continuing to figure out what I want to do. I've taken some career tests, so I know that the general industry that I'm in is the correct spot according to those tests.
Oh shit, I thought it was going to say you were supposed to be a firefighter.
I mean, if I can get into one of those firefighter calendars where they're just like all hunky and I got the tattoo for it now.
I was going to say you get the tattoo for it now.
So, hey, you never know. Gonna just be going and rescuing puppies from burning buildings.
Honestly, I think that's what you're supposed to do in life. I think you're just supposed to help people.
That's what I like doing. So, hey, firefighter it is. You've got me sold. I'm signing up for classes next week.
Well, it's dangerous. I'm not, firefighter doesn't have to be the way. I'm just saying, I think you're right. You are in a good industry if you like taking care of people and helping people.
Definitely. I just want to figure out something that I will fit in with a little more longevity. So.
Sure, something that's not such a day in, day out kind of thing.
Yeah, like
Right.
I don't want boring monotony. I still want some like variety in what I'm doing, but
Sure.
being a little more stationary.
What if you rented a bed and breakfast, or lease a bed and breakfast and then do that? I think that'd be dope.
That would be
Like
kind of cool.
just like a little, four bedroom or four, apartment thing. I don't know. I feel like real estate is a good thing to be in for that long term moolah making.
I definitely agree. That's something that I've definitely thought about. More of
Oh yeah.
the helping buying and selling. I know we had talked about that before. That we think that being in real estate might be a decent fit for me, but I guess we'll see. I'm trying to evaluate a lot of different options and then see what opportunities are out there. So that's why it's my seed. It's more of a long-term thing, but
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
but I'm actually, I feel like I'm taking more time to actually, or I am putting more time into figuring that out than I had previously, which I think I needed to do. So I'm glad that I'm putting the effort in a little bit. So
Nice. That's what's up.
but yeah,
It sounds like Colleen and your therapist and the change in headspace have created some pretty good pathways here for you, Aaron. I'm happy to hear that you're doing better overall.
yeah,
I like
man,
that.
I appreciate it. I know I've had some rough spots, but I think that yeah, it took me a bit of time to figure some things out, and now that I have done that a bit more, I think I'm finding myself in a bit of a better spot. So
Hell yeah, man. Got your
hopefully,
sea legs on.
yeah, hopefully that will continue. There's always going to be little rough patches here and there, but
Some choppy waters.
yep, choppy waters. But we've got some sure sailing to do forward.
Clear skies.
Full
Clear
hearts,
skies on the
can't lose.
horizon. I'm gonna try and drop as many pirate memes into this podcast as possible.
Are you ready to tell me your rose, thorn, and seed?
I would love to. So I guess earlier in the week, I don't know when I did it, but I decided to pare down all my Magic cards
Ooh.
to where like I basically kept anything that was like worth over $1 that seemed interesting enough to play with in Commander. I just haven't found a home for it yet, right? Those were kind of the cards that I wanted to keep.
Mm.
And then everything else was just kind of like, for like a limited format, or it was for a format that I'm not playing currently, right? And
Do you care about keeping any of the, like, do you ever plan to play other formats, or is Commander just kind of what you are content with and like happy to continue kind of exclusively playing essentially?
I think the best answer is that I would love to be able to keep all of my cards and find a home for them no matter what format it was, whether it was Pauper, which is like all commons, or whether it's like Modern or Legacy or whatever it is. I would love to think that I'd be able to play in those formats, but the time that I have to commit to Magic and like actually get games in where I'm not just like building the decks and putting them together and then just like and they're just over here now until someday I get to play them. I think that was a bit of an illusion, me thinking that like, oh, I'm gonna have all this time to be able like to play these games like with Sarah or Ian and them or whoever. So I think the bottom line is, even if I would like to I just likely don't have the time to get there. And also they're cards that I've passed over at least 1,000 other times, right?
Gotcha.
I've built countless decks, like 60 card list, commander decks, just all sorts of stuff. So I have to figure if I haven't chosen them for a deck by this point, I
Well,
I likely am not like too keen on building around it or with it. So I'd rather just turn that, instead of just like taking up space in my binder, passing over it every time. I'd rather just like trade that up to, something that I would actually really enjoy playing. So my roses, I've pared down most of my Magic cards. I can have them all like just in bulk boxes, and will hopefully look to offload them at some point. So that was really exciting.
yeah. Well, I feel like that's kind of like when you're paring down clothing. Like I've always heard, or not always, but recently when I've heard people talk about it, they're like, if there's something that you haven't worn in at least a year, then just like chuck it, because like,
Oh yeah, you might as well.
This past year is a little bit different since there was no reason to wear a lot of things.
Yeah, it's true.
Kind of bumming around at home. But yeah, unless it's like something for a special occasion, so kind of like some of those other cards that you're like, like I haven't used it, but it has some good value to keep around.
Or it's cool, or I just like it, or whatever. Like a
Yeah.
lot of the cards that are in my binders, like the foils and like the mythics and the legendaries, all that stuff's staying.
Yeah.
But like just like the random commons and uncommons from God knows what set, those are all gone. But yeah, there's a decent amount of stuff that I did keep, but I was able to get rid of a decent amount of them.
Nice.
My thorn for this week is, and I'm not gonna get too much into it, but I know we had talked about it before. Is like, again, these lazy business proposals from people who just clearly have not put all of their thoughts together as to like what their goals are, their expectations. And again, me and Sarah were having conflicting ideas about what might be an appropriate response to something like this. And yeah, it just gets me all in a tizzy like nothing else.
Well, so I've been thinking about paring down, and so I was gonna have a yard sale, and I was thinking that you could set up like a massage chair there and just like hand out pamphlets.
Yeah, can I pay you to be there actually?
I mean, if you want to buy some stuff at the yard sale, but I mean, otherwise, like, nah. Okay. I just want you to just give free massages and pass out pamphlets to all the random tired people that are wandering by the streets of Philadelphia.
Hell yeah, nice. I would love the opportunity to do that and just gain exposure, right?
Yeah,
just get that clean exposure.
I really wish I had thought it out more, because then I could have asked you to pay me, but like you put me on the spot there, and I just wasn't prepared.
That's okay. just offering my time for free is that's what I'm about. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Good bit. We can drop it now.
Yeah.
And my seed is that I was recommended a couple of clients, and I've been seeing like great results from them. And the gentleman left a review last night or the night before. He just simply said, "Could be life changing," and I was like, "That's an interesting review." I know, like I've gotten some decent success in the couple times that I've seen him. But yeah, I just thought that was pretty powerful. So I imagine that will help other people down the line find us to get themselves some help as well.
That's
so that has been
wild.
my rose thorn seed. Yeah, I know, right?
That's...
Could be life changing, is what he said.
But
Plus
I mean,
5 stars.
That's pretty awesome that like that is the kind of impact that, like, because obviously, like, you want to see people progressing and everything, but for someone to, after how many sessions have you had with him?
Just two.
Two, and for him to already be like, whoa, like, the progress here makes me feel like it could have so many, like, benefits to his life. That's fucking awesome.
And also, like, this is a client who's, like, been to doctors, been to specialists, been to whoever the fuck. I'm not a doctor, bro.
Yeah. Fuck those science nerds.
No, I'm not saying not to trust them. I'm just saying that, like, I've been able to accomplish something that others have not with the exact same case, and
which is really impressive. And, like,
right,
I'm sure you
that's
feel
what I take most pride from.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely
Fuck these
something.
nerds.
Yeah,
that's how I do feel.
Stupid science bitches.
Stupid doctors.
Yeah.
But no. So it's been a decent week. It's been a decent week, but enough about us. I don't think that's why the listeners are here, Aaron.
Wait, they not for us?
I don't think they're here for us.
Is it because we are the number one F1 podcast in the world?
I'm pretty sure that's the reason.
All right.
If I had to put my finger on it, I think I'd put it on that one.
I think that I'll have to agree with you. So, very. I think a lot of people thought this was a really, like, interesting, exciting race. I think for a lot of the drivers, it definitely was, and much less so for others. But first off, I am really happy that I didn't jinx George Russell and Pierre Gasly this time, because after the race the week before, they both came out and performed pretty well. Pierre a little less than I expected him to, and George Russell I think a little more than I expected him to. So Pierre finished 9th, got a couple points in the drivers' standings. George Russell got beat out by Fernando in the last couple laps to take that point. He almost had his first Williams point. It is on the horizon.
Closer there. Yeah, like, it really is just a matter of time. Like, I've been thinking about him a lot, and I do not think it bodes well for the other drivers on the grid when you have this really young guy who's getting looks from Mercedes that is able to put a car that shouldn't be up that far. He's able to put a car that far up in the race, in qualifiers as well. So I think, I really believe George Russell is something special and doing something special in each of these races. And just to see, like, what he would do in a Red Bull or a McLaren or a Ferrari or literally just anything that isn't a Williams, I think is going to be dangerous swords, man.
Yeah, the problem I think is that I don't really know where he can go.
Right.
And I mean, we are getting to towards the mid-season kind of point in this F1 season where this was what race
9.
Yeah. So we're a couple races from, like, that midpoint, and there's really not a lot of seats open. Both McLaren seats are locked up till 2023. I don't recall the Ferrari seats. Primarily Carlos Sainz. I don't remember what his contract was for, but I know Leclerc's is for another couple years.
Right.
Lewis Hamilton signed a new contract that will extend him for 2 more years with Mercedes. Sergio Perez is definitely racing well enough to maintain his spot with Red Bull. So really, there's one man who I think his seat is kind of questionable, and he finished P2 this past week. So Valtteri, he came back to form a little bit. Had a really solid race.
I would agree. And just to close up the Russell point, I don't think it's this year or maybe even next year that we see him in another car, but I do believe he will have or what should I say? I believe he has a long road ahead of him. Whether it's with Williams or not, and I don't think it's going to be with Williams like within the next like 1 to 2 years. Especially with people like Daniel Ricciardo not performing as well as they may have wanted somebody to. Kimi Räikkönen, it wouldn't be like much of an upgrade, but Kimi Räikkönen has been talked about needing to up it in qualifiers. I mean, who else would you want other than Mr. Saturday? Like we're saying, he finished way ahead of Raikkonen in the race. I'm just saying, George Russell seems like a fucking weapon that has not been unsheathed yet.
It feels bad because his contract is up at the end of this year.
Right. So we might not get to see it, is what you're saying.
No, wait, which seat?
No. Is your point that we may not get to see Russell exude greatness because he might be out before that can happen?
No. I definitely think he's performed well enough and is easily a good enough driver to maintain his seat. It's more so that I find it a bit frustrating seeing a very talented driver not get an opportunity in a better car because other people I personally think that George Russell is a better driver than Pierre Gasly and maybe not Sergio, Carlos Sainz, and a couple of these other guys that are above him on the grid in better cars and everything. And I think it's a little like some of the other drivers that have recently left F1 who are very talented, Nico Hulkenberg, Grosjean, Magnussen. Those are all Magnussen and Grosjean have their fair share of issues, but those are some guys that have performed very well at different points in their career in not phenomenal vehicles, but were never able to get the big seats because the positions were just filled.
Right.
And I think it's kind of a supply and demand kind of thing. There's just not demand because these guys at the top of the grid really aren't underperforming terribly. You could say Danny Ricciardo maybe, but it's his first half of the season in a McLaren that he hasn't driven before. He had his hiccups when he switched from Red Bull to Renault. And then he was able to the following year pick up some podiums for Renault when they hadn't had that in a bit. So it's plus he's been signed through 2023 with Lando. So I just don't see a ton of opportunity for George to get into a better car, and it's kind of disappointing in a way.
Gotcha.
I don't want to see his talent kind of squandered just by something as simple as there's other people in seats.
Right. No, I do. I'm with you on that point. I would agree, though, that I think you made some great points in the way that I think you're kind of bringing me back down to earth a little bit. But yeah, it does seem like a bunch of these seats are filled up. Other than Valtteri Bottas's, if he doesn't continue the upward trajectory.
Yeah.
And like Mercedes has said, it's between Valtteri and Russell for next year. So by some miracle, Valtteri becomes the reserve driver, which I don't really see happening. I think I would be surprised if they made that move. but you know, could be.
Yeah, I feel like when Valtteri is given like what Mercedes is able to give him at being clean pit stops, a car that he's feeling comfortable with and everything, and good strategy, which they are capable of doing in every single race, or should be capable of doing in every single race. Like, the man drives really, really well. Yeah, there have been some hiccups and things here and there, but that happens with just about anyone who isn't named Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen. So I really, maybe I'll throw Lando's name in at least for this season, but yeah, Valtteri's. I've talked some trash on the man in the past, but he's honestly a really, really good driver. And so to see him lose a seat at the same time, like, with how much I would want George to be in a better car, Valtteri losing that seat would seem like a disservice to the quality of driver he is as well.
Yeah, and also the position that he has next to Lewis, where, like, if Mercedes wants to, well, it seems like anyway, if Mercedes wants to be able to defend championships and have both of their drivers up there reliably, maybe George isn't the one right away, you know what I mean? Especially if it's Red Bull that's getting these first place finishes. They're really gonna want, I think, a seasoned veteran as opposed to like a younger hotshot. So maybe the position that they're in against Red Bull is gonna factor into, you know, who they put there. But yeah, I would imagine they would want a kind of an old reliable up there to help defend with Lewis when
Yeah,
they're on the back foot.
yeah, I think so, and especially like obviously it's still, we're not even halfway into the season, but Red Bull has been looking very dominant lately. That's 5 wins in a row for the Red Bull squad. 4 out of 5 for Max. So it's really, Mercedes has to figure something out, and I think they initially said that they were done doing anything for the car for this season and were focusing on next season. But it feels like now they have changed their tune a little bit on that.
Right.
So I guess we'll see what they are looking to do kind of going forward to see if they can get their car in a better spot to compete for this championship. But yeah, the Red Bull has been really, really looking good. And I mean, especially this past week, like I said, exciting race for some people. Not for Max. Max was just kind of, it's back-to-back weeks where he has led from start to finish, pole position, just kind of ticking all the boxes. But this time he added one more with getting the fastest lap as well. So first time he has kind of hit the grand slam in F1, getting pole position, fastest lap, leading every lap of the race, and then winning the race. So he's looked good.
That's the Grand Slam.
I don't know if that's a specific, or that's what everyone calls it, but I feel like that's what.
Sounds like it to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good.
Hit 4 bases, four runs, Grand Slam.
Okay. All right. I like that.
Yeah. So I feel like that's a term. I feel like I didn't pull that out of my own hat.
Okay.
But also with Checo getting into some scuffles and still finishing P6, like that early one with Lando dropping him back to 10th or whatever it was. I've been rewatching more of the Drive to Survive, and seeing Pierre and Albon when they have like hiccups like that in races and are just not able to like get back into the groove or fight their way through the field and everything, kind of shows how Sergio, I think, is a little bit different of a Red Bull driver comparatively, where he's been able to really put together, even after that dropping down to 10th, getting a penalty for bumping Leclerc a couple times onto the gravel, still finishing P6 is much better than Red Bull has had from their second seat in a while. So
Yeah, very much so, and especially for that initial, I think it was like early laps in the race, but yeah, when he was forced out into the gravel, he just like drifted it right back on. I'm surprised he just like dashed back on the track. I don't think he did it like dangerously or whatever, but yeah, it's just interesting how under control he had it, like even being out in the gravel, because he just like swung it right back on the track and kept on going. So to your point, like yeah, when we see other drivers go in the grid, go in the gravel or spin off or whatever, it does like they're just at the back of the grid from then on. So yeah, to see him just whip it back under control really quick was pretty impressive. But I think there was some pretty hard driving. A couple of, I would say, maybe unnecessary penalties, but I guess the stewards have to be assertive in their rule keeping, or the drivers I think would just kind of do whatever they want, right?
yeah, I feel like it was interesting with that. Well, so two things that I thought were kind of interesting. One, I feel like every time in qualifying when people went into that gravel, or not qualifying, but like practice sessions and everything over the past 2 weeks, I feel like all but like 2 times when someone hit that gravel, they were done. Like they just went off. They were stuck. They were like not able to keep it in control. But we saw multiple times between Sergio getting pushed off into the gravel by Lando, him pushing Leclerc off twice into the gravel.
Leclerc came right back on.
Everyone seemed to have control of the gravel during race day that they didn't have during some of the practice sessions. So that was pretty interesting, I think, to me. But on your point about the penalties and everything, I feel like it's kind of like a strike zone for a baseball umpire. Like, you don't have to agree with it, but if they're consistent on their calls, then like you really can't complain too much.
Right.
So like, yeah, do I personally think that those were kind of racing incidents, and that's like the like risk versus reward aspect of trying to pass someone on some of those tight outside curves? Yeah. But did they deal out the penalties evenly for everyone who did that same thing? Yeah. So like I can't be too mad at the FIA for the way they policed it, but I don't fully agree with it, but I can't complain that they are like giving preferential treatment to anyone or not being fair across the board with their penalties and everything. So
no, they were definitely consistent. So yeah, like you said, you got to appreciate that. I am still, I think there's a brain worm in my head that's not going to go away about like something cars are too fast, something like make the tracks a little bit wider. And this is coming from somebody who gets excited like if somebody gives me a $50 bill, like I think that's money. So obviously I'm clueless as far as like what it would take to remodel a racetrack. Like I was looking One of the last times they worked on the Red Bull ring, it was like $41 million or something. So obviously, I'm just like disillusioned about what it would be to like fix a track. But
They've got that energy drink money, dude.
I mean, I guess they.
I'm
just saying.
I have fed into that a decent bit. So if they want to, they've got my cash to spend. They can just start throwing bills at the track to widen up a couple turns.
I was gonna say, where's the vote, man? Where's the Red Bull drinkers vote?
Yeah.
Where, like, if you've drank Red Bull, you're a stockholder. Therefore, we vote on, when you're doing the renovations.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I want my dividend to go to.
Yeah, well, it's like
send it to the Red Bull ring.
What was the song that J. Cole said that in? What was that song on KOD where he talked about like why can't I choose where my tax money goes?
Oh, what song was that? That's gonna bother me now that you said it, but
I thought that was a bar, by the way. I was like, dude, yeah, I'm totally about that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that it is let's see here. ATM.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then he says like he would put his money to a place where it would like build a school for kids or something like that. I was like, that's such a good line.
Yeah, like, but I mean, kind of legitimately, if we are trying to, I mean, just as a, like, this is complete side note from F1, but like, politicians kind of suck, in my opinion. I think a lot of them are just out to benefit themselves. And so I think that that in general calls for us to be able to have a little more say in where money goes, because the government has a shit ton of it, and there are so many things that deserve more funding. But
enter cryptocurrency. I'm serious, there are projects that are working with like where you can fund directly the projects that you want to see worked on, where like I believe it's Cardano that's like doing a lot of these infrastructures where if you want your money to go to vaccines for people in the Congo, like there'll be a database that says like, okay, these are the companies that are doing it. These are the companies that would accept like your donations. So you're literally like your wallet to their wallet. No Red Cross middlemen, no, buying banana bullshit. Like know where it's going, and then you'll get a report back of like, oh, this is where that money went.
Wow.
And you'll see it's like, syringes and whatever the fucks.
Whole nother tangent related to this, though. I think that's sick that they're able to do that, because I think that you should be able to directly like donate pretty easily
100%.
to whatever you are inspired by, passionate about, whatever.
Agreed.
But I feel like a shitty person every time, but I will refuse to donate to any cause at a grocery store, chain restaurant, like any of that.
Yeah,
because those motherfuckers get your money that you're like, oh, like, do you want to round up your $2.55 purchase to the next dollar and donate 45 cents to water for fucking wherever? Right. And then those big ass companies use your money that you're donating. They actually donate it and use it as a tax write-off for their own business. And fuck that. Tax corporations, they don't get to use my money to go and save themselves money. Not about it.
I love that, actually.
So
that's a great take.
I refuse to donate to any of those things out of principle that I will do what you said with like Cardano and things. I will donate money to things that I like. I like have donated to Penn State's dance marathon that helps raise money for pediatric cancer. I've donated to plenty of things. Will not do it through a fucking grocery store checkout line or like Wendy's fucking I'm getting my chicken nuggets and they're
right,
like,
the Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah, not about it. No, they have enough cash. They don't need to save tax money.
No, that's a great point, dude. I love that.
We've gotten really off topic, but that just like sent me on a little tangent there. That's something that I like actively make the decision on every time I do those things.
Well, okay. Here's a thing that I kind of would like to talk about. So I do want us to not feel so bad about going on tangents, because like, what else do we have a podcast for, man? Like some of the times there are things. Sometimes there are things I would like to explore or talk about, or even just like, you know, make a joke about, or like, you know, whatever. But sometimes I do feel like, oh, you know, we're, you know, just keep it going. We're doing this and we got that and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, but I do find it very refreshing when we are able to like branch out and get some of these less, I won't say less. I'll say more organic takes of like something comes to mind. Oh, let's like hit that. Oh, I want to talk about that. So yeah, I don't think we should discourage it. I don't think we should discourage it because they're candid
moments. They're
candid moments, yes, and valuable. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's the whole crypto. What does Topcoin donate to?
Oh, we'll figure it out once we make Topcoin. We got to get there first.
Are you still working on that?
Oh yeah. Nice. Yeah. That's gonna be my baby. That's gonna be the best idea I've ever come up with.
Nice.
I think anyway. Well, you know, that's I think that's selling myself short.
Yeah. Don't cap yourself off. Don't set a ceiling for yourself.
Dude,
we only set glass ceilings for women. Sorry, that was a terrible joke.
I'm not even gonna laugh at that.
I'm glad you didn't. It was.
I don't think that's funny, man.
It wasn't, but I was.
We're all equal here.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone.
Dude.
I was trying to be funny. Didn't work.
Fuck.
Back to sometimes.
F1, I guess. Jesus.
No way to reel us back in other than me making a very terrible off the cuff joke. Oh, that was bad.
Holy shit. All right, here, before we get back, let me tell you a joke.
All right.
Women's rights.
Thanks for trying to make me feel better.
Hey, now we're both on the hook, dude. They can't crucify us both.
I mean, they can. They had 3 of them up there, including Jesus.
That would be a lot. That would be a lot of nails.
That's more than I would like in my body.
Ugh. What a rough day, man. What a rough day.
That's what you have to say about that. 3 people hanging from crosses, suffocating to death. And you're like, ooh, that's a tough one. Oh, better luck next time. That's what you say to someone who's had a week like I've had at work. Oh, rough day, man.
I mean, dude, the sad reality of it is that life is tough. Life is tough. And when I see things like that, I'm like, damn, you got a way out. I envy you, if anything.
Fair.
Yeah. It's a tough way to go, but overall, man, I kind of wish I was you.
Oh, don't go that far.
No. I won't die for anybody's sins except mine.
I've got my fair share to hold on to for myself. So,
speaking of sins, have you ever played Far Cry 5?
I've not. I've actually
Dude.
not played any of the Far Cry games.
Interesting.
Not because of any reason other than lack of money when I was younger.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that was like I very much stuck to my either free to play games like the good old League of Legends that I still dumped hundreds of dollars into. Who knows how much money?
Yeah, right. Talk about free to play, dude.
Yeah, or also fair share of sports games back in the day.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
The only reason I bring up Far Cry 5, the main antagonist has the seven deadly sins, not
Wait,
tattooed,
is that the
but
one?
like,
I feel like I saw a trailer for that one. Is that the one where you are like trapped in a cage, like off the bat or something like that on an island, and the guy?
oh, that's Far Cry 3. That's with Voss. Yeah, that one's crazy.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Dude, there's this really wild sequence in 3 where he so you like your eyes, like your little peepers, they blink open and you see this crazy I want to say
he seems like a drug cartel kind of mob boss type
exactly.
dude. Yeah.
But what I was gonna say was I don't know if he's like an islander. I don't know if he's from there or whatever. But the idea is you get like trapped on this island, you're like with your brother and friends, and you I'm guessing Voss and his drug runners, they come up on you, they take you hostage, you get away, but your brother gets murked back in the cages.
Yikes.
But your friend, yeah, I know, rough day, right? but your friends are still alive. So the idea is you're trying to like get back to your friends. Anyway, you get bonked on the head at one point, and you wake up, and Voss, he's like kneeling over you, and this is like one of the more famous Far Cry moments where even players who haven't played the game, I'm sure, like know this scene where like your little peepers open up, and he goes into this like tirade of like, have I ever told you the definition of insanity? And then
I have seen this clip.
Yeah, and then like you don't say anything because you're just like, what the fuck is going on? And then he goes, I must be the insane one because I've tried to kill you over and over. And then he like freaks out, and then he kicks you this rock that you're tied to like off of a waterfall. And spoiler, you don't die again, so he is insane. But
well, like with people like that, I mean, obviously it's for the game, but like,
right, you're just supposed to put a bullet in somebody's head.
It's so easy. These Bond villains and Far Cry villains, they need to piece their shit together.
Well, it always makes me think of the Austin Powers where he's like, where he has the piranhas with the laser beams on their freaking heads, and he like slowly is like lowering them into the water, and he's like, and then Dr. Evil's like, okay, I'm gonna leave. You guys got this, right? Like they're gonna die, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, for sure. And then they miraculously get away. It's like I'm pretty sure you're supposed to stick around and kill them.
Or like, spoiler alert for people who haven't seen Kingsman. Kingsman are some of my favorite movies. Like just the choreography of fight scenes, the kind of playful irony of playing into like every spy trope that there is for the movies,
but actually like kind of like turning it on its head a little
almost
bit,
like breaking the fourth wall without actually doing it. Like you can tell that they're intentionally, but this is where the spoiler. You've seen both of them, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where Samuel L. Jackson's like, this is the part where I'm supposed to tell you like what my big plan is. He's like, that ain't one of those movies, bruh. Pop.
He just kills them. Exactly. Like it's so funny.
Yeah.
So I suggest if you're the antagonist in a hero's plot, when you capture him, just kill him. Just kill him. You'll save yourself dying at the climax of his story, where instead it'll just be the resolution to your story as the villain.
So for all you aspiring supervillains out there, kill the good guy. Just
when you capture him.
When you capture him, just don't hold up. Just say, "Ha, I got you. Bye-bye." Boom. Done.
The convoluted death plan.
Yeah, it's. How did that start? Like, is there I mean, there has to be, but like, is there a initial like? I feel like it's got to be like the Joker in like the old like TV Batman or something like that, because the Joker was nuts, and so I think that was why he always had these convoluted plans to kill Batman, because he was like just actually out of his mind crazy and didn't really care as much about killing Batman as just like making himself laugh. Right. So like,
or just playing the game. Like if he left the door open for Batman to escape, that would effectively give more opportunities for them to chase each other therein.
Well, it's
like the more fun option is the one you go with.
Yeah, like in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, where the Joker, the Heath Ledger as the Joker is like, I'm like a dog chasing cars. I don't know what I would do if I ever caught one, kind of thing. Right. It's like, like that's the interesting thing. But I'm curious if there was something before that, because it's just such a common trope for the like antagonist to always have some sort of crocked up idea to just.
Well, so think of the movies that are making fun of it. So it's like Austin Powers, like you said, The Kingsman. There's like other like comic booky type things that are making fun of that.
Deadpool a little bit.
Right. So what if it's like it may be like James Bond, or like I'm trying to think like what other secret agent type stuff is there, because it probably originated with like one of the like Ian Fleming James Bond stories or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like James Bond is the most reasonable answer, but when I was thinking about it, like the old Batman TV show, I'd have to look, but I think that might have been before the first James Bond.
But then also to your Batman point, the one with George Clooney, do you remember that? You remember that scene with the with the clown guys on the motorcycles in that warehouse? Like, wasn't that some like contrived like machine that they were supposed to die on? Maybe you're right. Maybe it was like a Batman trope.
I'm really curious, and I'll probably have to look into this, because I'm going to have to get to the bottom of this, because one of the first James Bond movies was 1962.
Right. What was the first one?
So Dr. No is what it says is the first one. Then there's From Russia with Love in 1963 and Goldfinger in 1964. There are a lot of James Bond movies back then. Like, they were putting them out every year or every other year. But the original Batman TV show was 1966. So,
gotcha. So at least 5 years after.
Yeah. But also, did this originate from TV and film, or could it have been comic book?
Well, I'm not even like that familiar with like old fiction either. Like that could be like an old like northeastern like noir thing in like literary fiction, you know what I mean? Like I have no idea.
I'm very curious now, but
you would have to think there would be like one glaring example of like, oh well, you should have just, why did you tie, you know? Yeah, for it to be like such in the zeitgeist that all of these stories are like making fun of it.
So making fun of it or actively following it, like it's a
Right.
thematic like thing at this point.
Yeah.
It's almost like a what is that, a an Achilles kind of heroic um what like
Oh, are you talking about like an archetype?
no like a heroic flaw kind of thing, like these villains are like have it all together, but their one flaw is that they just have to show off to like
Oh, right.
their
Their
like
fatal flaw is like their
that's what I was
showmanship.
looking for.
Right.
Fatal flaw is that, yeah, that they just want to make a display of
Right.
their opposition.
Okay, so maybe it doesn't originate with like one specific trope. Maybe it just originates with like an aspect of the villain's character where of course they're going to be like a megalomaniac. Of course they're going to think like they're going to be in love with all of their own like ideas and this and that.
Yeah. And like the
So
thoughts
yeah,
of like, oh, how, like if I, in the ideal world, what would I do to take out my nemesis kind of
right.
thing.
And put it on
And
display or
because
whatever.
of their, yeah, like megalomania is a pretty good word, that they're just like, yeah, I'm actually going to try that. It just doesn't work out.
Even in Iron Man 3, they hung the president up in between those cables and just like, whatever was supposed to happen to him, like just get eaten by seagulls or something.
Yeah.
Weird, man. Really weird.
I'm curious. Yeah, this is going to take some research.
Welcome to the movie hour. Movie hour.
Movie.
Movie hour.
Movies, TV, villains. um,
Darth Vader.
Speaking of villains, how about Lawrence Stroll? No.
The biggest villain in all of Formula One. That was actually a great segue to bring it back. Well done, sir. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we ended with like the Mercedes guys.
Yeah, we were talking about George and Valtteri and kind of that seat a little bit, but
Yep.
just
Who else had a good race?
I mean, Lando again. Even I mean, finishing P3. I know, like he was bummed that he got that penalty against Sergio that bumped him from P2 down to P3, because he only finished a 5 second penalty. He finished 2.1 back from Valtteri, so easily could have. It was honestly very impressive to see the McLaren have that much pace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know we had kind of gotten a little bit of a sneak preview last week in the Styrian Grand Prix, but the McLaren looked faster than the Mercedes. And they had a better strategy. Like, Lewis seemed kind of dead in the water to Lando when he was running him down, getting past him and everything. And that was, I mean, kind of the opposite of what we had seen the week before, where Lando held Lewis off for however long and then, like, eventually just gets passed up.
Right.
We did have an early on little comment from Lewis about what a great driver that Lando.
Yeah, that was from this race, man. When he fucking passed him, he's like, "Ah, what a great racer that Lando."
It's funny because I saw, like, it was like 21 laps in, but like there just always seems to be some sort of like play behind whatever Lewis is saying.
100%, bro.
So like I have trust issues with Lewis radio comms because
Me
of
too.
the amount of times where he's like, my tires are gone and I'm going to immediately put a fastest lap in. So like it's
Right.
I have trust issues, Lewis. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to show me a little more genuine kind of stuff before I hesitate. I feel like it was a genuine comment about Lando after thinking about it, but during the race, I was like,
yeah, just like what a weird thought. Like, there's no way that's the thought that went through your head when you pass him.
Yeah, like
are you really that sportsmanlike?
Well, and also like, are you really like? Why is your mind wandering to like, oh, dude's a really good driver when you're in the middle of a like race trying to like catch up to Max and like try and like finish as high as possible. You're competing in the constructors and the drivers championships. You're behind. You got to run Max down. Like, you got to do these things, and you're just like, oh yeah,
what a great driver,
Lando. Good dude. Good dude.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Like, it feels out of place. It doesn't feel like what you should be working on or thinking about during the race. Totally weird.
And maybe it's also kind of bizarre to me because I'm someone who, like, when I play Warzone with my friends, if I start getting into a gunfight, like, I could be mid-sentence, like, having a conversation, and if I start, like, shooting at someone, they start shooting at me, I immediately just can't talk anymore because my mind has to focus so much.
Sure,
I can't multitask like that to be like, oh, yeah, aggressive pass, but he's driving really well. Like, my brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah, he's just super, super friendly, even on the racetrack, man.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Lewis.
What a great driver, that Lando.
Great driver, Lando. P3, another podium.
Yeah, I was happy to say it.
Still only a single race now that Lando has finished outside of the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
He is, I mean, just in general, like, kind of bringing us around with the standings and everything after this race.
Yep.
Lando's 3 points behind Checo for third in the Drivers' Championship right now. Just 3. Like, that's easily one race. Valtteri's not too far behind. He's 9 points back from Lando in 5th in the Drivers.
Farther back than he would want.
But it's just pretty wild that Lando, like, he has just been so consistent and looked so good. Like, I think that that McLaren has, like, struck gold with him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, definitely.
Signed him on as one of the youngest drivers to be signed in Formula One, like, up there. I mean, he had, as we had talked about in a previous episode, phenomenal junior career when I actually looked at it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, carrying that in his 3rd year in F1, I believe this is now, is just pretty incredible. So, really good looks, and I like the fact that McLaren's, like, up there competing, kind of for the first, or like, they're getting closer to that, like, top 2, top 3 actual title fight that they haven't really been in since Lewis was in the McLaren.
Right. Well, and they're probably not going to be able to be really in the fight unless Daniel can, like, finish a little further up. Yeah. I know P7, like, isn't terrible, but I just, like, with the qualies and everything,
it's his weakest point right now.
Yeah.
The qualies are, you're 100% right. Like, he just can't keep starting that low.
Right. And, like, he's having great races every time, right? Where he's gaining position a little bit, getting points, staying, like, competitive. But, yeah, if he just had better qualifiers, he wouldn't have to fight so hard.
Yeah, I mean, just, like, So, I mean, he was P13 in qualifying the past 2 weeks. The week before, he was P10. Like, it's just...
It's not spectacular.
Yeah, I don't even know the highest. I mean, the week before that, P13. The week before that, P12. Like, he has barely made it to Q3 this season.
Right.
And so that's not what you're looking for. And I feel like...
So now you see why I hesitate so much to just say, like, oh, car trouble, oh, car trouble.
No, I mean, and I don't know if it's car trouble. I don't know if it's him just adjusting to the new team. And so, like, he's a veteran driver. You see Fernando Alonso go from driving IndyCar and jumping into the Alpine back into F1. And yes, Fernando Alonso is a world champion. I definitely understand that. That's a slightly higher level than Daniel Ricciardo has gotten to.
But Fernando is driving great in his rookie year.
He has been just, I think, he has that Alpine car higher than it should be, in my opinion. And, like, there's some races where just overall, he and Ocon, like, I feel like when you see both of them doing well, you're like, okay, this is a good track, or they got a good setup, or like whatever it is for that car. But then the rest of the times, and I can't say too much about Ocon because he got taken out this race.
Right.
So, like, I can't, no knock to Ocon, but the majority of the races, Fernando is like putting it up there, close to the points or in the points, and Ocon's just lagging a little behind. So to see him jump back from not only not being in F1, but like into a car that's not phenomenal, and then for Danny Ricciardo to just be jumping one F1 team to another and not being able to perform in a much better car, it's just tough. Like, I want Danny Ricks to do well. But and hopefully he'll get more comfortable. Who knows? Maybe next year he'll have a phenomenal year. Just like with Renault, his first year was rough. Second year was really good. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think Lando was kind of my last guy that I think left a really positive note in my mind. Carlos Sainz looked pretty good too. I'm not gonna knock him, but Lando really sticks out to me week after week.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. He has been a treat to watch. I think just as talented as Lewis, Max, Valtteri, and seeing him stick that car up there on podium week in and week out is exciting, to say the least.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, what is that? I have to double check myself, but that is 3 podiums now for Lando.
3 out of 9, pretty good.
Pretty damn good. He's racing like an animal out there. I love to see it. But we also now have the other thing I just wanted to mention in terms of standings was Max now has a gap that is more than a race win between him and Lewis. So even more than a race win with the fastest lap. That is obviously it's a long season, but this is, I think, the biggest lead that a Red Bull driver has had in the Drivers' Championship, and the biggest lead Red Bull's had in the Constructors since the hybrid era of Formula One began. So that's pretty
monumental
substantial.
year for Red Bull. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very impressive. So like even if for whatever reason if Max like DNFs or something and something crazy happens,
And even if Lewis gets P1, Max will still be ahead of him.
Yeah. So
crazy.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. We've got the British Grand Prix coming up though. So
not this weekend, next weekend.
Yes.
At Silverstone.
Silverstone, Mercedes has won I think 7 of the last 8 races there. So we'll see.
I don't think that stat's gonna matter much anymore.
I don't think so either personally, but
right.
It has definitely been a comfortable position or a comfortable place.
Yeah, so is every track for them in the last fucking however many years.
That's fine.
Like that, dude. That's
I think that's kind of their home track, though. Technically, like how
I think you're right.
Yeah, so I feel like
the
that
Red Bull Ring is.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, Red Bull Ring is AlphaTauri's home track, and
then the Ferraris race at the Circuit of Americas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. No, all I'm saying is that the whole like, oh, this is a Mercedes track, or oh, this is a Ferrari track.
You're not
like
wrong.
I get it. They're just referring to like who has the most wins here and blah blah blah. But I think they're just cars.
And yeah, Mercedes has also won like the last 7 constructors championships, so of course that every track is gonna. Yeah, no, I get your point. I completely get your point.
That's like saying that Justin's favorite. That's like saying that Justin's favorite bed is the one that he falls asleep in. Yeah. Well, of course it is. just by default, that's what that means.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could have picked a better example because that didn't hit right even when I said it.
No, but
like,
I 100% get the point. Like, everything looks good when you're winning.
Exactly my point.
And they have
and these analysts get like just like free points of data when they're just like, oh well, we can say that and that and that and that, and it's all true.
True. It is fun though to see this though. Like I feel like last year and the year before it was like every race was a like Lewis milestone.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, oh, this is when he ties Michael Schumacher's record. Oh, this is when he beats it. Oh, this is when he's had the most pole positions out of it.
Yeah.
Like he's had the most laps led on this track. He's this, he's that, and then now this year with how Red Bull's been doing, like that is quieted a bit. It's just a nice change of pace, I think. Like
I agree.
In all sports, obviously I root for my favorite teams, but I also enjoy things getting mixed around. I'm a big fan of bottom teams picking themselves up and getting out of the bottom. I am also fine with top teams having a little tougher time and falling down and giving some rise to some other people.
Yeah, I'm also a fan of like watching a dynasty being made. You know, like I don't think Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes' success is like anything to scoff at or like
No.
talk down on or anything. Like I find that just as exciting. Like this team and this team of constructors and drivers and team principals like all putting it together to just like be the winningest squad ever. Like obviously that's history being made and that's exciting to watch as well. Like we said, we just like watching just like cool shit happen in sport.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's e-sport, motorsport, football sport, we like sports.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I guess makes it so prominent with Mercedes too, yes, we do like sports.
No, dude, that was the SNL bit. You ever see that music video where they're like underhanding a football and like catching a tennis ball with both hands, and the song is just like, "We like sports. Football on a Sunday, basketball on Saturday." And they're just like hyper generic. It's super funny.
I haven't seen that, but I do enjoy. Kyle, one of the guys who writes for have you seen his sporty video?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's what it kind of reminded me of. So.
Dude, what's crazy is like, and this would be the same thing with like Childish Gambino or whatever. Like those guys like started on just like YouTube, just like making dumb little videos, and it's so funny to see them like go all the way. And I'm not saying I was like their biggest fan or like watched every video or whatever, but I remember all of their like, this is how we trip at home, this is how we trip at school, the one that Cody and Noel always talk about, the touching each other, that one, like all of them, like that's those guys, right? That are on SNL now.
Well,
and it's
that
just so
like
crazy.
the Cheers video.
Yep.
Like it just
So
that is
fucking good, dude.
I love going back and watching old YouTube videos sometimes. Like I've watched a few videos that are like compilations of like early YouTube, or just
Right.
going back and finding like early YouTube videos that like were so funny to us. Like, when's the last time you watched old Greg?
It was probably a while ago, and I actually missed the boat on old Greg when it was presented to me. Like when I first saw it, the joke had already been ran into the ground with me not knowing the context. So when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, you guys are really not funny." Yeah. I was like, "This is dumb."
But there's like just all those things.
The end of Z World video, like that one. The
duck song, where it's like,
what's the duck song?
I think that's what it's called.
Badger, 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 mushroom.
Well,
mushroom,
that's another one.
badger,
But the
badger,
duck
that's a good
song's
one.
like, the duck waddles up to the lemonade stand and is like, "You got any grapes?" Have you seen that one?
I feel like that sounds familiar. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
There's like a few that I've gone back to.
Is there like an archive for this shit? I feel like just like there's a national library, there's got to be a national.
There's probably a Reddit page somewhere. Like I feel like there are.
Sure.
I feel like that is one of the things that Reddit is valuable for nowadays, since it's kind of
like
gone to shit.
archiving internet.
Yeah,
stuff.
I feel like there have been periods of Reddit where they have had posts that just archive like extensive lists of like weird things. There's got to be a thread out there of like,
Oh, I'm sure.
what's your favorite old school YouTube video from like before YouTube, when YouTube didn't have ads, because that's
Right.
how new they were. Like,
Dude, FPS Doug was probably my favorite.
there's a lot
So
of good
good.
ones.
Boom, headshot. Boom, headshot. Boom, headshot. So funny. He's
But-
like, dude, what are you doing with a knife? Everyone runs faster with a knife. It's like, what are you, fucking crazy? Can you imagine filming that video today, literally running down a suburban cul-de-sac with a fucking knife underhanded, just like jogging down the street?
You're just gonna get shot.
Yeah, like,
You're
dude,
just gonna get shot.
so fucking funny. He's like, yeah, I thought about the military, but what if you lag out there, man? I heard there's no respawn in RL. It's like, holy shit, dude. And these people actually exist. I think that's what was so funny about that video, was it was a microcosm of a person that exists everywhere.
R/outside, man. Go
Yeah,
fucking.
dude.
Yo, these graphics are wild.
These graphics are lit, dude.
The grass looks so realistic.
Oh, man, but I heard there's no respawn in RL, man. That's a
Oof.
rough day.
Yeah, rough day.
Rough day, dude.
I think, though, like, with the Mercedes dominance, just talking about that slightly more.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason that it is so interesting or such a focal point for people is that they had just come back into F1 back in 2010. And so from being back in F1 in 2010 to winning
I see.
7 constructors championships in a row from 2013 to 2020 or whatever that, I guess that would be the stretch.
Like, you're not supposed to, like, be winning that much.
Right. And there are very few instances of, like, teams coming into F1 and just dominating. Braun is one of those that they literally were there for a single season and they just won the constructors and just were, like, gone.
Got them.
So, I mean, it's just what they did. They came in with a phenomenal car, won the. It was even worse than the fucking Nico Rosberg shit. It was a whole new team. Came in, won a constructors, and then they sold their spot to Mercedes. So.
Damn.
Yeah, just very very bizarre.
Right. Holy shit. That's actually crazy.
Yeah. So, I guess maybe that spot just has some magic powers. I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like it. And especially with as superstitious as some people are in Formula One, you know, it's a great place to be.
Definitely.
You know?
Not a bad spot. But I guess, do we have anything else that you wanted to mention, talk about on this past week's race? I think we kind of covered roundaboutly the race.
Like, we hit on all the main points.
We definitely did.
And to be fair, like, just watch the race companion.
Yes. Absolutely.
We hit all the points, like, fresh on the day. This is us just kind of, like, rehashing it. But yeah, check out the race companion. It's on the YouTube channel. That was kind of all I wanted to hit for the race.
Nice. Well, getting into kind of the next segment, we do have some LCS to talk about. We've got 5 different games that Justin and I had looked at. Justin, your first game of the week on Friday was the CLG Golden Guardians game.
Now, yeah, it wasn't obviously like the most awe-inspiring game. I think it was still just like a good performance from a bottom of the table team. But the one thing I did want to highlight was a bottom of the table team taking a board off of CLG. And obviously, they're not the most winningest team right now. But I did think it was impressive that both their jungler Iconic and their mid laner Blazed Olive were able to bring out a really strong fucking game, where it seemed like they had a really solid strategy in the pick and ban. They shut down Finn Zakali with Renekton, which I thought was really awesome. Now, I'm not like necessarily a fan of Renekton, but I think this is where he shines as a champion, where you're able to shut down an assassin pick, not necessarily some like, you know, not early game tank. I think the benefit that you gain out of it is so much more. He was actually close to having a flame horizon on Finn. He only needed it was 20 CS or so. So that top lane matchup was pretty busted. We saw Chime on the Rel performing amazing. 0-11, part of a lot of the kills. Didn't die any herself, so obviously contributing well to the team. So I just thought it was a great overall performance from a team that is struggling in the summer split. And yeah, fuck POB.
I think the other thing, though, that I'd like to say about that game specifically is I think that the Renekton is not always a good pick, but when you're in a matchup where you're facing a jungle champion like Trundle, that is a fine pick. Like, Trundle is not out there putting out crazy damage. It's not like on Renekton, if you're going to get like you're against Akali already and you've got like a friggin' Xin Zhao coming at you, or you've got a Kindred coming at you that can like put all this damage out early game and really just like fuck up your laning phase and everything.
Right.
I think it's a great pick, and I'd have to look at what the order of the picks and bans were. Sorry, I just hit my mic there, but if the Renekton was a counter pick, essentially, I think that is a really solid pick from Golden Guardians for solo, because I think against the Trundle and the Akali, like, it just allows him to really scale up pretty well and not be too worried about his early kind of lack of tankiness or some of those other like drawbacks of the Renekton that kind of you can see it get kind of stomped early sometimes.
But no, yeah, I think this was a fine time for it, and they played the team comp out really well. And I mean, the 8-0 LeBlanc is pretty free as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, 18 kills to 3, 9 towers to 1, controlling all other objectives. Like, that's kind of just a clinic of a game. Like, that's, and it's
but it's from a bottom table team.
Yeah, it's not something you see much from teams that are not performing as well, which is definitely a nice change of pace and good to.
And that's why it was my game of the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I am about it. My game for the first day was the TL versus 100 Thieves matchup, and it was interesting, I think, for one, because 100 Thieves is playing just phenomenally. They are really just, I mean, they're top of the LCS standings right now, performing extremely, extremely well. But also the fact that they had the Viego, the Gwen, they had Abadaga on a kind of more supportive mid lane pick on the Karma. They faltered at a couple points, which I thought was like kind of interesting. We saw Liquid try and really pull the game back in, but just not be able to as it got deeper and deeper into the game. Some bad positioning in it from some of the Team Liquid guys. Tactical getting picked off in his own jungle because they didn't have good ward coverage. Giving up a Baron to 100 Thieves that kind of started to clinch the game for 100 Thieves, because it had been pretty tight for a long time. I'm still really not sold on Jenkins either. I'm wondering if Alfari is going to come back. Like,
I don't know. I think that's slim.
It's just, I don't know, man. Like, there are 4 teams competing for 3 spots right now to go to Worlds. I just have trouble, and no shade to Jenkins. He's a rookie. He is doing the best he can. He's had some solid games.
Right.
But, like, I just have trouble thinking that he's going to be better as an option than Alfari is.
Well, I don't know how much Team Liquid is looking at Alfari, as far as like whatever's going on behind the scenes. I think that's like where my knowledge lacks the most, about these organizations. But yeah, something tells me that I don't think they want Alfari back.
Yeah, I just also like
Which is a shame because they're not going to win with this roster.
Well, and they bought paid Alfari a shit ton of money. And I know that's Team Liquid's MO, but
right,
as Steve is just gonna buy as much as he can. But I mean, you gotta. I don't know. Like, I just feel like if your focus is to win right now, Jenkins is not your best option.
I agree. But also, let's just like remove players aside. I think the Team Liquid giving away both Viego and Gwen, I think it's just a big mistake.
Huge mistake.
They're two of the, like, I'm pretty sure they're both still 100% pick banned right now, or at least damn near fucking close to it.
Yeah, like what did Liquid trade those 2 picks to get?
I have a feeling, and I don't remember the pick ban. I know I watched this game. I don't remember the pick ban. I have a feeling it was for the LeBlanc.
Yeah, but like,
I'm not saying that was a good choice. I'm just saying I think that's what they traded away for it in whatever weird ban thing that they did. But yeah, I think giving away the Gwen and the Viego is a big mistake. Gwen it seems really strong right now. She seems very similar to like a Fiora or like a Riven. She's just like eating people up. She has really big team fight potential. It seems like anyway.
They gave away Gwen and Viego to get Lee Sin.
That's even like worse. That's even worse for Armeo. So that means that their priority for pick and ban for Team Liquid is get our players onto something that's comfortable, regardless if we have to give away these two characters. Who did they ban? Because that must have been in first rotation. So who did they ban?
So Liquid had banned Set, Senna, and Volibear. And
Okay, so let's think about that actually. So the Senna, was Tom Kench banned on the other side?
No.
Okay, so the Senna, they felt like they had to ban to take away one half of the fasting Senna. Fair enough.
Which with fasting Senna, you can, like, it's better to ban the Senna because Tom Kench, like, you can play fasting Senna with other champions at this point. So.
Okay, so you ban the Senna, fair enough. You ban the support Set, arguably. You're trying to take that away from Huhi. He's played amazing on it.
He has, and the Volibear is, like,
it's been a problem. It's been a problem for some teams, so I don't think those are, like...
Not terrible bans.
They're not terrible bans for the current meta, but for what 100 Thieves ended up getting for it, I think it was just like, I think it's way too much, and it seems short-sighted from Liquid to not prioritize these teamfight monsters and also lane monsters.
Well, and also, like, I get it that Lee Sin is a flex pick. You can play it mid lane, you can play it top lane, you can play it jungle. Like, there's, like, that flexibility, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't give up 2 busted-ass champions.
No, I don't think you're supposed to either. No, like, I think that's where they really lost it, is giving away both of them.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like,
that's a bad pick and ban right there.
Someday looked so clean on the Gwen.
He always does, like, dude. Someday is probably one of my favorite players right now.
He's so good. Like, and he's been so good for
for years.
Like
literal years. Yeah.
People like we're talking about him being like in friggin' Elo hell with 100 Thieves a couple years ago, and like he was the only good performing member on the team. And now like who he has figured out being a support.
Dude, I think who he I think is doing it the best right now.
He's doing so well, and like
Yeah.
he used to be a joke of a mid lane, like maybe not even top 10 mid laner in LCS.
He was definitely a mid laner for sure.
He was a mid laner, but I mean, yeah, he was a mid laner. It's just it's interesting. Abidaga was like not a top performing mid laner in LEC. He wasn't bad, but
I don't think you need one right now.
Upgrade.
Like, it's obviously a top lane meta right now.
Upgrade from Ryoma for sure.
Yeah.
And Closer is so good. He's so good. I'm really curious who the MVP of... I feel like Someday has to be leading the MVP votes for LCS right now.
I don't know. I don't know what people rate. Like, I don't know how they think of their players, what they want.
I feel like since that he's carried 100 Thieves to... I mean, obviously not just him. The whole team is playing very well and clicking together. But
I agree.
The fact that they went from like third to fourth best team during the spring to the top team as of now, I think that is pretty substantial to look at for him to potentially be MVP. I don't know who else you'd give it to. I'm thinking about like the other teams, and maybe you could have like Spica and Sword Art in the mix. Maybe Hooney's performed really well, but like I don't see, with how Cloud9 has slumped, I don't see Blabber or Perks being like at the top there. I feel like there are a lot of players that are playing fine but not exceptionally. And so like Someday on 100 Thieves I think is an example of someone that could easily just kind of fit in the best to that spot right now.
Yeah, and as I'm like clicking through some of these other rosters, I'm looking at the players. I'm like, I think you may be right.
Yeah, I just don't know who else. And I mean, obviously, there's still a few weeks to go in the LCS season before playoffs.
There's a lot of games. There's a lot of games.
Plenty of games, like 15 to 20, I think, games for each team still. So there's still ways to go.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, 100 Thieves has looked phenomenal. Giving Someday and Closer the Gwen and Viego, bad decision. I don't expect any other team to do that because that just is a bad look. But yeah, that was, I think, the part that like intrigued me the most about watching that game. Yeah, it was tight early on, and 100 Thieves like pulled away as it got later in the game. But like watching Someday on the Gwen, he was just like stomping people out in the split push. And they played the comp so well with having him constantly split pushing away from objectives, just killing Jenkins again and again and again until they start having to double, triple team him to kill him.
But then once you do that, the game is lost because they get a free Baron. Then,
right, you're just giving up objectives. It's like what's worth more? Like you're like just slowly bleeding out, or just risking it all for a like that's what that felt like. They were like, we can't stop this bleeding.
Right, they had to do something,
So,
obviously,
like,
yeah.
let's chop off the arm and just throw it at him. Like, that terrible analogy, but like, they were like, we got to do something instead of just bleeding out slowly. But neither of these things are gonna lead us to.
Yeah, neither of them was a winning strategy, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, 100 Thieves looking really good, but for day 2. You had the 100 Thieves game, 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest. I know you had some comments specifically about the FlyQuest picks.
Yeah, the only real angle I wanted to talk about this game was was actually from the caster perspective. I think there was a bit of a feeling of the game was like over before it even started from the casters, and Kobe was basically doing like a how-to fiddlesticks during the cast in response to like how Jose Diota was playing the champion, and I think it was kind of funny. There was an element of like watching this team just like kind of get stomped, and then but the stomp not being the interesting part to the casters, it was how badly this one player was like playing this new pick. So they really like harped on the fiddlesticks.
Weren't they harping on his
It was everything.
It was like the build path. It was like, yeah.
But I think what you're referring to was the early game double camp management was what they were like really honing in on. And then Kobe realized that, oh, this guy has no clue what he's doing. So he took it upon himself to teach everybody how to play fiddlesticks. And it was a weird way to spend an LCS game, but I thought it was really funny. Because, yeah, it was 100 Thieves just, like, playing out just how you just play League of Legends, and FlyQuest just losing. There was nothing they were going to do. So the fact that they went that angle with the cast was, like, hilarious to me, because it didn't matter at all.
Well, and I think that that's, like, a good thing that... It kind of highlights the abilities of some of these casters too, like Kobe and like, I mean, we always refer back to Monty and Doa when they would just go on for like literally hours on end during pauses in the LCK champions, OGN champions and everything. I think that being able to be like, oh, we know what the outcome is going to be, but let's flex and talk about something that's going to be interesting for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And try and turn this stomp of a game into something a little bit better. Like...
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually a great example. And yeah, I'm kind of with you. So like he extracted a little bit of entertainment value out of something that was actually just like kind of dead.
Yeah. Like I think that just really shows the skills of a caster to an extent. And that's like something that I think is valuable and good to... Like, I think that's a reason to pick someone to be a caster for, like, Worlds and some of those bigger matches and deeper matches. Like, not that I expected Kobe to not go to Worlds as a caster or anything.
Kobe is a world-level caster.
He is, yeah. But, like, that's one of those things that, like, it really...
He's probably one of my favorite. I think he is super good.
He is definitely up there. And like, I've always said, like, his pairing with Freak that they do so often, he's able to reel it in, and like Freak has some really good points, but he also gets off topic super easily. So like having someone who's knowledgeable
just, like, reins him in. He's just like, all right, yeah, enough of that.
But he also has such a like very like large repertoire of things that he's knowledgeable about and can talk about, whether he can cast a game just straight up, but he can also bring these other things. And I think that allows him to reel in Freak more and just tie things together, which would not be the easiest task for a lot of people. Like,
sure. No, I think he kind of steamrolls a bunch of different casters.
And he's got a strong personality, and he is very knowledgeable on the game, but he does just get really
He may be the
topic.
highest ranked caster. I think he is.
Close, if not the highest. He's
right.
he's up there.
Right. So as far as like game knowledge, just technically, I think he has the most. And playing a mechanically like difficult role. I know he was an AD main for a long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So like he knows what he's talking about. I know. Like, all right, he's not the best caster. I do not think he is technically the best caster or mechanically the best caster, but his game knowledge is to a level that when you get him in like a world, like an international level worlds class game, like those are the guys that you want talking about the game because they're gonna highlight all the right points.
Oh, 100%. And like, I just did a quick Google search to try and figure out like which caster was the highest rank, and the first thing that popped up was from 2017, so it's a bit old. But
right.
Kobe was at the time. Kobe was master as a jungle main, and Freak was Freak was Diamond 2. So Kobe is also up there. Like,
all
really
right, so
high.
Diamond. So yeah, freaking Kobe. That makes sense to me. Like the way they talk about the game is of that level.
Yeah, it's very like they do. Or Freak does get memey, but like he's really an intelligent person when it comes to League of Legends. So
interesting aside, like. Okay, so Mimi, so like he's like a bit reductionist, right? He like tries to like take something and just like he makes it like really simple,
tons
in
of
like
damage.
Right. So what do you say to somebody who like has a really complicated thing to get across? Like, oh well, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you don't know it that well. I think the fact that Freak can say like, oh, it's basically just this, or it basically just means that, I think that shows a very deep understanding about the game because he can boil it down so fast.
Yeah, and that's someone who is thoughtful about it too, because we have shown it on this episode of the podcast. It is not easy to come up with analogies off the top of your head. I literally just said bleeding out or chopping your arm off and throwing it at your opponent. That's a terrible fucking analogy to anything. So let alone, like, not only does he come up with the, like, he's either coming up with these analogies on the spot, or he has put so much thought into the game that he already has these analogies planned out for things like this, which because one of those
up in his own ecosystem before,
but either one of those are still extremely impressive things to be able to do, because coming up with them on the spot is not easy, but also putting the time and work into like think that deep into it to come up with them ahead of time is also like shows really a lot of like
that's why he's been on the team for this long. You know, he's literally been there since the IEMs.
You know, which is wild. So
pretty crazy.
But yeah, like very interesting to hear them kind of hear Kobe like really dig into the Fiddlesticks pick.
But to your point, it's a good different angle to go, because like you said, like you're saving people from just like this monotonous just stomp. Like we've all seen it before. So like for him to be able to turn it into like a teaching moment, and like a teaching moment of something that like he cares about, like he really likes the Fiddlesticks. I like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely about it. So great value that you get out of out of that game.
And you had a different game for day 2, correct?
I did. So for day 2, I had the Liquid Cloud9 game. You weren't gonna get out of here without me talking about C9 a little bit. But I mean, I just watching that game. There's not a ton that I really need to say about it. It was really a clinic. I watched it primarily because it was like top of the table teams. I'm like, these guys are competing in that top 4. And Cloud9 has had some rough spots recently, so I wanted to see how they do. And they really just like, with Sven back, him and Vulcan in the bottom lane, combined 5-0-17 scoreline between the two of them.
Pretty nice.
Vulcan 0-0-13. Perks like looking good on the Yone. Like everything was just clicking for them. Another game though where Jenkins really underperformed, and again, it makes me kind of question what exactly is going on there. He did like, I mean, he was on the Nocturne. It's a pick that should have a lot of pressure, and he went 0-6-0. Like it's tough when you're kind of getting just beat down from the start of the game because Cloud9 just started the ball rolling real early, but at the same time, I feel like there has to be a moment or some moments there that he could have utilized that a little bit better.
But, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, that was primarily just me watching that because I felt like it was probably the best game of the day in terms of like team quality, even though it ended up being a pretty stompy game for Cloud9.
But just like for the other games on the table, we had FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves. You would think 100 Thieves wins that. They did. You had TSM versus Immortals. You would think TSM wins that. They did. It was EG versus CLG. I mean, that's a game depending on who you're a fan of. I can see it going either way. I would guess EG.
I mean,
they won that.
EG's 19-14 and CLG's 9-24. So like, right. I feel like, yeah, like maybe it could go either way. CLG was slightly picking it up recently.
What I'm saying is CLG has a roster where I think they could beat any team on any given day. I really do.
Yeah.
Like just going down the line, most of them are pretty competent players. I think Pobelter has had a longer career than he deserves. Same with fucking Golden Glue. Like, I don't know why he's not working at McDonald's by now. Like, people keep paying that guy.
Golden Glue, more like Golden Arches, am I right?
Yeah, see, that was a good joke, man. But yeah, like, I can see CLG winning on any given day. But yeah, Evil Geniuses won that one. Dig beat Golden Guardian. So yeah, I think you're right. Liquid versus Cloud9 was the best game of the day.
All right, at least the best looking one just off the bat. It ended up like I said, being pretty stompy, but
sure.
But you got to go into that expecting it to be a tough fought match. But for Sunday, I think we both did have the same game for that one.
Yeah, and I really, like, unfortunately, you would want that to be the thing that we spend like an hour and a half on breaking down every play. But to be fair, fucking Lost and Sword Art just 2v2'd, and then it was it.
Yeah, I mean, that was just the biggest thing. Like, Fudge looked great on the Gwen. Gwen is just super fucking strong.
Right.
But it was like tight for a little bit, and then it just wasn't because the bot lane just was.
Well, and I don't think Trundle does anything. I don't know what these pros are seeing in that pick, but like I don't think Trundle does anything.
It's just a Volibear counter. It's literally because Volibear gets so tanky, you can Trundle ult him and get tanky and make him squishy.
It clearly did work for them.
That I mean, I think you at this point have to ban Volibear, or like you gotta figure out how to play differently macro style. Like, you have to pick a jungler that's going to get you early advantages and get some weird jungle pathing. Because otherwise, the Volibear scales so well. It's so easy for him to just be tanky and to frontline late game and to stun people up, flip people back. Like, he's a strong pick.
Did they ban? I bet TSM banned Kindred, didn't they?
Wouldn't be surprised. I'll take a quick peek and see here. So, we had on Cloud9, they banned Mundo, Nocturne, Lee Sin off the bat, and TSM banned Akali, Xin Zhao, and Diana. So TSM did ban 2 pretty strong jungle picks.
Right.
And then the other bans were from TSM were Set and Orianna. And from C9, it was Jace and Rumble.
Okay.
So, lots of junglers were banned
is
out.
fine. Blabber played it against Liquid.
Yeah, it was definitely not the ideal kind of pick ban, I think, for Cloud9. They did pick the Trundle as a counter, though, to the Volibear. So they
hate to see it.
They picked it right after right after
fucking
TSM, and I'm looking at it right now, and it says it's got the stats for Trundle for LCS 2021 summer, and it's like pick percentage 3%, ban percentage 0%, win percentage 0%.
Yeah.
So the Trundle is not one
really top tier is what you mean to say.
So
really top tier.
Yeah. So I mean, the Trundle pick is what it is. I think I see the idea behind it, but there has to be a better way.
There's got to be a better way.
There just has to be.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Just pick Fiddlesticks.
I mean, Kobe already showed us how. You know, gave us the way. Show me the way.
It popped into my head too. I almost said it. But yeah, rough day for Blabber.
Rough day, dude.
Rough
day.
But that kind of it leaves us in a pretty interesting spot with the standings. 100 Thieves, like I said earlier, on top of them. TSM 1 game back. Cloud9 2 more games back from TSM, so 3 games back from first in the standings. And we've got a little ways to go. We've got I don't know how many 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks left. So each team gets 12 more games.
That's not bad.
A lot of time for things to shake up, but at this point I feel like the top 4 teams are kind of locked in. And
yeah, I think so.
I don't really expect for a lot of weirdness once we get to playoffs. It's really who's going to get those buys, and see from there.
I just hope they don't do anything really dumb, like with the patch and then the Worlds patch. Like,
they've been better about it in recent years. I feel like
you're right.
I feel like it's been at least 2 Worlds since they last decided to do something stupid like make all the enchanter supports crazy strong right before Worlds after a tank support meta. There's like Thresh and Tom Kench and like champions like that, and then they're like, yes, you know what's a good idea? Let's make it so Janna and Soraka are the only champions played at support for the entirety of Worlds.
Right.
So,
yeah, it just seems like I don't think you should make like big sweeping changes before a Worlds tournament, because then you just get these like weird metas where it's just like, oh, okay,
like,
cool.
Right about now is probably your last chance if you would like to make substantial change to do so.
Right, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah.
So we'll see how the meta shifts over the next little bit. I don't imagine it will a ton. There might be slight nerfs, some champion. Like, I feel like they've done better with subtle nerfing. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Volibear get a subtle nerf.
Maybe Gwen gets tapped.
Probably Gwen, Viego, and Volibear. Those are the top three I feel like that need to get just like a Like, I still want them to be able to be played because they're fun champions to watch. But, like, they need just a little bop on the head.
Or bring other two historically strong champions up a little bit that like could be picked against it and not be a total,
That's fair.
Like, like give like Elise like more damage on her Q or something like that, make her playable or whatever. Like I don't think it always has to be. I don't think it always has to be nerfs on the thing that's doing well.
definitely
you can
not.
Bring like competing strategies up. And then kind of flatline the meta.
Yeah, and like give more viability to like there's other ways to give more viability than just like nerfing the strongest things. It's like bringing other things in line. Weird you said the Elise because like that's a champion that I hadn't even thought about in such a long time.
In my head, she is like one of the junglers. I think that's just probably from the main time frame that I watched the game in.
She was one of my most played junglers. My most played junglers were
and I played with her a lot, like on my team, like in my own meta.
Kha'Zix,
I think of them as junglers.
Yeah, definitely. So. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how things change, but we're in an interesting point to see how this kind of shakes out at the top of the table, and I think there is obviously plenty of LCS to go, but it's coming, it's closing quick to the end of the season and playoffs.
That it is. Looking for I think 100 Thieves victory would be dope in the summer split.
That'd be cool.
Really shake it up.
I mean, so right now only we've had
Liquid, Cloud9, and TSM. That's it.
CLG.
And CLG, yeah.
So like only 4 teams.
That was only because they had double lift, though. Honestly, there is no other roster that CLG would have done it with.
Wrong. I'm pretty sure that was a Stixay.
Yeah, you're right.
Who was on that team though? We're gonna look real quick. Jamie, pull up the CLG LCS roster. Let's see here.
Oh, that fucking was Stixay. Not double plug. Damn, dude. I'm a bad fan. I can't even remember.
How dare you? So. Oh, that's going to bother me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it.
Oh, here's the caveat. That I can throw down. That was in a Caitlyn meta. It was easy to play then.
True.
Yeah.
So they
got him.
Let's see here. Interesting. So that was the 2016 spring split. So 2016 spring. We had Aframu, Xmithy, Darshan, Stixay, and Huhi. That was the lineup. Huhi mid lane.
Wow.
Yeah, how the fuck did that team win?
Wow. It was because of fucking Xmithy. It had to be.
It had to be. Like, Darshan, no. My teacher calls me Zion Spartan. No.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, did I just unlock a memory?
Dude, that is so cringe.
It was
so cringe.
That was Xmithy and Aframu. That was when Aframu was like potential MVP as well. That's got to be it. And Stixay,
and Fresh was something you could still flex on.
And Stixay didn't fuck up. He just was just decent, consistent.
Well, look at his champion picks from that year. I bet he played Caitlyn 60% of the time.
It was
just Caitlyn and Jinx.
Probably. So, I mean, yeah, they had a split.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
But yeah, it would be nice to see 100 Thieves come out on top, like something new.
Nade shot.
Not just a clothing organization. Have you followed along with much of the critiques of 100 Thieves?
Mm-mm.
In the Call of Duty league, there have been a lot of shots fired at Nade Shot about how 100 Thieves is just a merch org, basically, and how, they're just about coming out with cool... And, I mean, granted, they have some fucking sweet merch there.
Yeah.
They've got sweatshirts, sweatpants, really dope, and they, are clean. They look good. But, the CDL, that's the only shot that people are able to, fire at Nade Shot, that they're just
sure.
You're a merch org. You're not really competitive in these games. You're just here to make money from selling people your shit. So I'm definitely... I like Nade Shot a lot, so, I'm about it with 100 Thieves, and his team's performing well, too.
Dude, have you ever watched Nade Shot's time on Optic when they were winning games in Call of Duty?
Oh, a little bit here and there, because you were the one who first told me about him, and I checked him out. But
he
also
was a monster.
He also had one of the biggest fuck ups in Call of Duty history with one of his gun picks, but.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah,
that was bad.
But then the gun got really popular after that.
Right, but there's a point where and they talk about it all the time with pro league players where it's oh, it just wasn't his meta. Oh, he didn't understand the meta.
It's that gun got
that was critical. No, I think that was a critical moment of he had an incomplete understanding of the meta and thought that he was going to be able to use that gun in the way that other players were using this other gun.
Yeah.
Did not go well for that tournament.
No, but he was a beast back in the day.
Well, with him and I'm not sure he was the top fragger on the team. I think what was so impressive about Nade Shot was the in-game communication that he had. I think it was Scump that was really the fragger on the team.
I mean, Scump is still the biggest fragger for Optic.
He's insane.
Yeah, Scump's a fucking maniac. He is. There are people who are scary good at Call of Duty, and he is one of them. There's a few people that I'm just I watch sometimes, and I'm just how?
Mm-hmm.
How are you so good?
It's Tens playing Valorant.
Yes, exactly. Same.
Yeah, how do you move your hand that fast?
Or simple in CS:GO. I'm just
yeah.
It doesn't make sense that a human is capable of these things.
I remember. Did you ever watch competitive Halo?
Not really, because I sucked at Halo. Halo, so I didn't
Okay.
really, I didn't really get into it because I was really bad. I didn't own it either, so I would only play at
There you
people's
go.
houses. I was like, I don't know these fucking maps. I would just look for
Right.
I would try and find the sniper and just like
Well,
sit and
that's
hide.
dude. There was a player. I forget what the team names were or like who he played for, but there was a player. His name was Ghost Yame. And I remember it must have just been like I don't think I was a big fan, right? But I remember watching like a tournament or like specifically like an event over the weekend or whatever, and this guy's name just kept coming up the whole weekend, and it was like Ghostiyame gets the rocket launcher. Oh, Ghostiyame with the double P, just like all weekend long. And this guy was just insane. And you're right. It was at a game that like I didn't have high proficiency in, and it
Mm.
was this weird kind of first person shooter where you had the gravity where like you jumped a little higher, you were a little faster, so there was a bit of like a Superman element to it, right?
Mm.
And the way these guys moved on the map and like understood the boards, I think that was when I really got my first taste for like competitive video games, and just hearing them just scream this guy's name over and over, like he
Yeah.
must have been dominating that tournament.
Team Carbon, by the way.
Team Carbon. Yes, that sounds right. Okay. How long did he play for? Does it say there quick?
It looks like 05, 06, 07, all in Halo 2. So,
Okay.
not an extremely long period of time, but
Right. Okay, so yeah, I must only be remembering just like a small fraction of time, but yeah, I just remember his name being lit up all weekend.
oh yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man. So like now I think about it, like man, this has gone like pretty far back, dude.
Yeah, well, that
This
was
podcast has been a long time coming.
absolutely. It's kind of cool to be able to like bring those things in from our past experiences and all with gaming and things like that. So,
Well, it can set a little context for like where we're at now and why we think of things in the way that we do is because we have seen some like grassroots elements, some
mhm.
like big moments in other areas. Like I remember first hearing about the first international for Dota,
Mm.
and it was like $1 million. I was like,
Oh
these kids
yeah.
are getting paid $1 million. I was like, that shattered my reality.
It was like the moment that you realize that your parents being like, you can't make a living out of playing games in the basement, like
Yeah,
that you're
it's like you fucking
but
lied.
I can.
Yeah,
But I
dude.
can. I can't, but people can.
They can, Navi can for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who won the first international.
Who? Navi?
Navi. Yeah.
Yeah. Not
It
as
was,
sincere.
dude. I actually remember the play. It was, I think it was like game 3, or it was like game 4, and Navi picked Puck, and I don't remember exactly like what I don't understand the champions, but if I understand Puck correctly, he had like an AoE ability of some kind, and one of the carry players for Navi was able to get like it was like a flank with the Puck ultimate, and it was just this really massive moment in the game that like shifted the whole momentum and gave it to him. It was pretty insane.
I'm like trying to find it. Yeah, International 2011.
Wow, the first international was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. Damn, we've been at this a long ass time, bro.
Yeah,
Like
man.
actually.
No, like
Holy hell.
100%.
Damn.
Yeah. That's pretty fucking cool. But yeah, I guess at LCS that kind of wraps us up, gives a little context where we're at. Anything else that you wanna hit on before we wrap things for the episode?
No, I do not think so. We're pretty much over here, so I appreciate anybody who has stuck around this long. Aaron, give me your final thoughts, and we can take us out of here.
Well, real quick flavor of the week for you guys.
Ah.
So get a little closing segment to kind of tie things all in.
Oh, I've got a good one for you.
So flavor of the week for some food for me. I've been really just bouncing back and forth between two things recently because they're easy, quick, and they taste good. I've been making spicy chicken Alfredo, and I've been making some stir fry, some like little spicy stir fry. So it's
do you do like tortillas with it?
I haven't been.
Dude, you gotta roll them up, bro. You gotta roll them up in something, yeah.
I've just been doing it like with the chicken Alfredo over fettuccine.
And then over rice with the stir fry?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, over rice is fine too. That's really good.
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
I've been doing that. So there's that for music. Trying to think if there was anything specific for music that I've been really jamming to. I've been trying to work on my experimental rap playlist a little bit more and try.
Yeah, did you get the artist that I sent you in the Talking Points Discord?
I'll have to take a look.
Dude, his name's fucking Tokyo Revenge.
Oh wait, I know that guy. Yeah. No, I mean I don't know that guy, but like I know his music. I think I have one or two of his songs in my playlist.
All right,
so yeah, like Tokyo Revenge, Pouya, spelled Pouya. I think that's how you pronounce it. Like,
yep.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good ones, but
nice.
Yeah, Tokyo Revenge.
That's the only guy that I can contribute to that kind of
No, I appreciate it.
Glad you already got him.
No, he's solid, but I haven't.
Sick, yeah.
I need to like branch out more on some of these artists because I've got like certain songs, but I want to like get a little more into their catalog because right now there's some songs on the playlist that I like but don't quite fit that experimental rap vibe, so I'm working on. So I did a little more work on that, added a couple songs, and then for my visual media, the sketch comedy show I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson from Tim and Eric is on Netflix. Watched a little bit. They're very like absurdist kind of
like Eric
sketchy.
Andre.
Very similar to Eric Andre with that. So fun show, pretty entertaining. That is my flavor of the week.
Nice. So for visual medium, me and Sarah watched the first episode of The Mandalorian.
Nice. It's a good show. I liked it.
We were unimpressed. I doubt I'll watch the rest of it.
Oh, you gotta. Well,
I mean, whoever is doing the camera work, it's very boring. Like, I can understand the characters would be interesting. The worlds are kind of interesting. The action was pretty cool. But the camera was so boring.
It's like that through the whole show.
Yeah.
If that bothers you, I will say it will be like that through the whole show.
Yeah, I'm gonna hate the whole thing.
There is nothing
interesting with the camera. It doesn't move at all.
It doesn't move. It's wide shots with a lot going on and action all in there, and the camera is still the whole time.
Yeah.
There's a ton of that.
It's pretty weak.
Also, later on in the show, some of the plot lines for each episode get a bit stale. But as a Star Wars person, I just have to watch it.
Sure. Yeah, and I can appreciate that.
So that's your visual medium.
Yep. For food, so the one thing that I've been like snacking on like crazy that I love, dark chocolate granola with like chia or like other nuts of whatever. Dude, there's a couple different companies that we get of like their version of it. It's so good. I'm turning into like such like a yeah, man, just try granola. Like, you'll love it. You know, I got my hair up in a man bun. I wear fucking, Birkenstock sandals. That's
Yeah.
me.
Hitting that vape pen throughout the episode. Just like,
exactly.
yeah, man, try the granola.
And then for music, we watched Bo Burnham's Inside.
Nice.
Dude,
great songs throughout.
Yeah, I've just had them stuck in my head. The internet song, like, you want a little bit of everything all the time. The fucking, honestly, the song that I thought was really cool was That Funny Feeling, where, like, all these, like, weird things are going on, and he's talking about getting that funny feeling again. And that was, okay, so we watched Inside, and then the very next thing that I sat down to watch was Mandalorian. Like, the camera work, and it's so different, right? And the production value was so much higher for Bo Burnham's thing. And he did that all by himself.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what makes me fucking hate that shit. Because I'm like, you're not doing anything interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The costumes are good. The initial idea behind the Mandalorian solid, but yeah,
and like
camera work and like also like the fight scenes and things like that are so like the fight scenes are legitimately like fucking like 1990s gunfight type things.
I know,
like,
just add like a pow and a bang.
I'm here behind this fucking box here on my left. Pew pew. Pew pew. Like, yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched it because I'm a Star Wars fan, and Baby Yoda's cute as fuck. So.
100%, and he didn't kill him, and they killed the robot that was like that was gonna take him out. Like, there's a lot there. There's character depth, of course, and like the Beskar Steel, where you're like, yeah, I want to see him get the full set.
But the cameras and the fight,
it's just boring, man.
The fight
really
scenes are not, yeah.
But Bo Burnham's Inside was as good as I had heard, and everything that I expected from that guy. That is 3 for 3 Netflix specials that I've just been, like, obsessed with.
I saw him live for one of his earlier ones at Penn State.
That's amazing.
It was really, I can't remember what the name was. I remember, like, bits and pieces.
Tiny arms, itchy gizzard. Like, dude, his bits are so funny. But yeah, so that's my flavor of the week. Bo Burnham, dark chocolate granola, and the Mandalorian sucks.
There we go. That is another episode of the Tall and Short of It. You can find us on Anchor, anywhere that you find podcasts. You can find us on YouTube. Reach out on Twitter at Tall and Short of 1. We are there. We will respond. We'll get in the comments of shit occasionally. It's fun. Anything else, Justin?
Nope, that's all. I would just like to say, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed what you heard this evening. That's been another episode of the Tall and Short of It podcast, everybody. Peace out.
See you later.